Hello, welcome to our live stream. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. See, we already have people who are waiting, and thank you. Appreciate you joining us tonight. And as promised, this is going to be a very fun live stream. I enjoy doing these things, so if you are brand new here, please consider subscribing because we do this every single week. And every week I come and share with you guys something new that I did over the week and something fun. So thank you for joining me. And I hope you're all interested in seeing how we can attack Google Chrome in Windows 10 and also hopefully be able to detect that in this SIEM solution right here. And that's what we're all about. We want to be able to learn how to attack things and also learn how to defend and detect things. So thank you for joining. I'm trying to find my chart here. Make sure that I can see everybody. Okay, I already have questions and I'll quickly show you a quick demonstration of what we have for today. Then we'll spend the rest of the hour just answering any setup questions. If there's something you want to see, I'll be happy to show you as well. So thank you for all the questions. Keep them coming. What kind of logs are injecting to detect? Just curious. These are all Windows logs. So the Elastic agent is going to grab all the Windows logs as you see them in the Windows machine. You can specify which levels you want and which applications you want. Right now, I'm just sending all the logs right now from Windows. So today we're attacking a Windows machine. I only have one Windows machine in here. So, all right, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I see a lot of people commenting and supporting the stream. All right, so what are we doing today and why did we even decide to do this? I'm going to show you a quick overview of all right, I'm going to show you a quick network diagram of how I have everything set up. Then I'll explain what vulnerability we're going to be attacking. Then we also need to be able to detect that vulnerability. So we get to see a full life cycle of a vulnerability where someone is going to attack a machine. What does it look like? And this is very important for us as security people because we need to know what is an attacker doing? How are they doing it? What signatures do they produce when they are in our network? And then we need to be able to defend against those attacks. And that's the whole point of these live streams is we need to be able to see what an attacker is doing. Then we also need to be able to defend. And that's why it's very important here. So first, let's start by showing you our network diagram because I'm a big fan of network diagrams. So here's my network diagram. So this is sort of like a rough estimate in draw.io. And as you can see, I have my internet, a pfSense firewall for the lab. That's where I do all the filtering and allowing and making sure that I monitor my activity here. A layer 2 switch, just a dumb switch. Then I have a Windows 10 machine. This is actually a physical machine that's plugged in somewhere down there. Kali Linux. My Kali Linux is just running as a virtual machine right here. My goal was to have a Windows 10 machine here, but I didn't want to have my Windows 10 machine here running at the same time as my Kali, at the same time streaming. That might slow down my machine. So here's my Kali Linux. I like to have it local. So here are the IP address 192.168.5. I think this is 55. And then 5.230, that's my Kali. And our SIEM. In this case, I'm just using the Elastic SIEM in the cloud. You get 14 days free trial. So if you want to set it up very quickly in 5 minutes, this is what you do. So what I did is I just created a new email account, signed up, and that's why I can even show you guys my URL here so you can hit this up if you want. It's a fake account that I'm just testing with. All right. So now that we have the setup out of the way, why do we do this? And why do we care that we can attack a machine and detect it at the same time? Like I said earlier, we want to be able to know what the bad guys are up to and what signatures they produce. Then that can inform you as a defender, as a good guy, on how to really protect your network. So if you know a little bit about the attack and a little bit about the defense, I think you'll be in good hands. But really getting a good grasp of what we're doing is going to help us. All right, so now that we have everything set up, let's go to our Kali Linux first. So here's my Kali Linux. This is Kali 2019.1. I have it set up the way I like, so I am a little hesitant to upgrade to the latest one, unless if I have to. But for now, this is our setup right here for Kali Linux. So what we need to do is make sure that we have connectivity to our machine, our Windows 10 machine, which is right here. So here's our IP address for the Windows 10 machine. It's 192.168.5.55. So let's make sure that these things are working. If you see that, my ping is not going there. So that is a problem already with my connectivity. That's why I like to ping things, because if my pings are not working and I don't have connectivity, I'm even wasting time starting an attack, right? All right, so let's go find out what's going on here. Is this really right? 192.168.5.55. Yeah. And what is our IP address here? If config. All right, first 5.230. So ping 192.168.5.55. There's no reason why we shouldn't get there, and it's not working. So what we need to do first is bring up that machine and make sure that it's responding before we start any attacks. So let me make sure that this machine is actually online right now. So here's the Windows 10 machine, just a clean Windows 10 machine. So let's verify its connectivity and make sure that it's working. Maybe I attacked it too much and now it's blacklisted. That's true. Yeah, maybe I should allow my ping, but no, I was able to ping it earlier. Let's check it out. And here's our command prompt. Let's ping Kali from Windows 10. 5.230. Okay, so there is connectivity from here. So what are you talking about, Kali? I gotta have these pings working before we start attacking anything. Otherwise, my attacks won't work. So let's check Kali connectivity to my wired connection, disconnect it and connect it back. Okay. All right, I'm going to attempt this attack first, then we can see if it works or not. It's a very quick one. So we're going to be exploiting a vulnerability in Google Chrome, and this vulnerability is called, I have it pulled up here. We're not going to go into deep detail about how it works or why it was there, because that would take us forever. But what I will explain very quickly is that we are able to gain remote control of a machine, really get a reverse shell from Google Chrome because of this remote code execution vulnerability that is there, and it affects all the versions prior to 80.0.39 something, and this was a big deal. But there are two things that have to happen for this even to work. That is, a person has to be running Google Chrome with no sandbox specified, and they also have to click on a link that an attacker would have social engineered, maybe send it via email or something like that. So there is a catch to that, so just take that with a grain of salt, that the likelihood that of this happening, things have to line up for that to be able to happen. So if you are interested in reading more about the actual inner workings of this exploit, I highly suggest that you spend some time reading about it here or anywhere else. Just look up for this CVE number here and you'll see. This was discovered in February 2020, I think. So it's from this year and it's a fun one. And the good thing about this one for us is that we have a Metasploit module that we're just going to use. And the reason why I'm going through this very quickly is because we're interested in exploiting the machine, then really honing on what kind of indicators does this attack leave for us as defenders, because I like the defense part of it. What do we see in a SIEM solution when we perform this attack? Then how do we detect it? How do we set up our alerts to make sure that we are notified when we see this? Because what happens is you will be at work, this will be announced on the news or whatever, wherever you get your news. You need to be able to go and read through this, perform the attack from the POC that they give you, then create some rules for your environment to make sure that you detect it. That's what we're going to do today. All right, so I showed you the attack right here, and here's our machine. Just verify we can get there. So this machine is online, we know that. If anything, this is our Kali Linux that is causing us problems. So let's start our Metasploit here, so we can find out more information about that attack. I'll show you the different steps that we can take here. And thank you everybody for joining me. Appreciate you being here and watching what we're doing. Just like we suspected, we are just trying to exploit this right now, and we are starting our Metasploit, and this is going to be able to create a session to our Windows 10 machine so we can run remote commands there, and that's our goal right now. So let me move this microphone out of the way. Let's clear that. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is let's search for, can we just search for Chrome? I think we will see too much stuff here. If you're doing this by yourself, just remember that this might not work if you do not update your Metasploit database. Since this is from 2020, you need the latest database for you to be able to see this vulnerability in here. So just remember that when I first tried it, it didn't work for me because I had an old database, but make sure that you do that. All right, so that's a little too wide of a search for us, but it's one of these here. To narrow it down, I just searched for Chrome JS. That's the exploit that we are looking for. So here's the exploit, and we can find out more information about it from here, but let's just use it right now. Then now we're using the Chrome vulnerability that we found. I found this information earlier, I read about it, so spend some time doing that because that's very important for you to understand. Then from here, I'm just looking at my notes here to make sure that I don't miss anything. Let's use the info because this is where we're going to understand what we are doing here. This module exploits an issue in Google Chrome, and this is the version. So you need to make sure that you're attacking that version. And 64-bit, the exploit corrupts the length of the float array or float rel, which can be used for out-of-band read and write on adjacent memory. So it's a write to memory, and that's what we're exploiting here in Google Chrome as the application it is running. And then you can read the rest of this stuff here. The most important thing is the payload is executed within the sandbox renderer process. So we need to make sure that when we run Google Chrome, we have the node sandbox option set up. And I'll show you right now how I was able to do that. So in our Google Chrome here, this is why I think that this is sort of a stretch in a way in the wild. Like nobody goes and does this, but some people do. So you need to have in your Google Chrome, if you right click, you go to the properties, this right here needs to be checked. to make sure that you can see. So that no sandbox needs to be enabled for you to for this vulnerability to work. All right, so now that we know what we are doing here, and that's all these things work, I downloaded the old version of Chrome. Another tip, if you're going to do this by yourself, if you try it after watching me, make sure that Google Chrome doesn't automatically update, because there is an auto update that comes with Google Chrome. And to go and avoid that, I went here, I think it was Program Files 86 Chrome. I just went to the update folder and named it .old. So every time Google Chrome tries to check for updates, it can't find the updates because this update folder doesn't exist really. I just named it .old. I did this earlier and it updated automatically, then my attack wasn't working. So just keep in mind when you're practicing and learning to check that one. All right, so now that we have seen all these different options and the setup and how it works, we can now proceed. So let me move myself here so that I don't take too much space here. All right, everything is lined up. We are using the correct exploit here that is already created for us. If you say options or show options here, this is what we need to set up. So if you have used Metasploit, these are the options that it needs to be able to run. The exploit target, we already have it right here. So server host is listening on this right here. For me, I would like to set this one to my actual IP address. I don't want it to just listen on a any pretty much for this one. This one will work, but let's just set it up to our actual IP address. To 192.168.5.230, and lucky for us, our AL host is already set up here. All right, so now if I do options again or show options, I should now see that it's already set. The port, I'm going to leave it at 8080. You can change it if you want to 80. SSL none. So most attackers, the way I think about this is when they were attacking real targets in the wild, they'll probably change this to 80. They'll probably have a fake SSL and a domain that sort of mimics a real, like a real life, maybe bank or something. So, but for now, for us here, we're just setting it in this one. And then the URI path, this is the URI to use for the exploit. Default is random. I don't like that. I would like it to be just in my home. So let's set that one up. Random will also work. I tried it with it, but for us, let's set it right there. That way I know where it is. I don't want to just guess, and I know that it works there. All right, so now if we do options again, we see that now we have 8080 right here is set. My AL host is already set. That's good. AL port is 444. This becomes significant when we are detecting later, when we're done with this attack. We need to know this. This is what I'm going to be using to detect it in my detection engine, and I'll show you the rule that I created to be able to pick it up very quickly. All right, now that everything is set up, if I say show targets, even though it's right here, right? I wanted to show you that this also works on a Mac OS. So if you're using a Mac, this will also work as long as you have this version of Chrome or older. And then in this case, we want to use it specifically for Windows. So set targets. I can just do a use 0 because I showed it right there. Now I'm using Windows, and it's going to go here. This is actually just pre-configured Windows 64 MetaSploit reverse TCP. We could have just used this command here to set payload to make sure if this didn't come up, we could have just done this right here. Set payload Windows 64 MetaSploit reverse TCP. That will also have worked, and in this case, it just happened to be the correct one. All right. So here is the moment of truth, right? Now that we have everything in place, let's run exploit. So when this happens, it's going to set up a web server locally in this directory, this path right here, and that's where everything will be. So if we start downloading and uploading things to our remote machine, that's the location right here. That's why I like to set it up right here. So if we run exploit using URL, that one. So let's copy that. At this point, an attacker will craft a very clever email like, hey, you need to click here because of your house is on fire, whatever they do to make somebody click. But for us, we already know that this is what we need to do. But I'm just telling you that an attacker in this case would send phishing emails pretty much to try to get people to click on this link, because they need to click on this link to be able for this to work, or somehow the attacker needs to execute it maybe in a script or something. So we copied that. Let's launch our Google Chrome in our victim machine this time, and we paste the link from our attacker. This is going to hang here, and if we go back quickly, look at that. Metasploit session opened on port 444 to our machine. So at this time, we're thinking any decent SIEM solution should have picked this up, right? We opened a Metasploit session on a port 444 on our Windows 10 machine. That is unusual behavior. Nobody opens Metasploit sessions in a normal environment. In fact, Windows Defender actually picks this up. I played with it. Windows Defender does complain, and after a while, I think I tweaked it to not complain, but it does complain as well. So again, there's another layer of defense right there. So after we open a session, if you say show sessions, actually just sessions, there is our session right here, session number 1, and it's showing us that this is the name of the desktop, and this is the user that is signed in on this desktop. So we know that we have a session, sessions 1. I don't know why it's called sessions, but that's how we can interact with it. Now, right now, as we speak, we have a reverse shell to a Windows machine. If you run ipconfig, we can tell that this is the IP address of the victim machine. So that's the attack if you're interested in playing around with it. Right now, we just go to reverse shell from a Windows machine. We are an attacker, so we now converted our Kali Linux machine to be a command and control center. Now we can do whatever we want on that machine. We can shut it down. We can go and steal documents. In fact, let's do that. I want a fully interactive shell, so I'm type shell. Now I'm in the machine, and as you can see, the full path it executes is in the Google Chrome, because that was our way in. So we executed it in Google Chrome. But look, we can do a C users. Actually, let's just go to C. If we do it there, look at that. We can see what's on that machine. We are interacting with our victim machine from within Kali Linux. So this is a command and control situation right now. I can now see maybe I want to steal some documents here. Let's go to the user's desktop and see what's going on there. CD users. I think that's one of the users. If I do a dirty here, I should be able to see here's all the stuff that the user has. I can see their documents, the downloads folder. But let's go to the desktop. If we do a dirty here, what's on the desktop? We already know, but I put this is an elastic.agent.yaml. That's a configuration file for the agent that is shipping all the logs. So let's view that. I think in Windows you say touch. Tab doesn't work. No, it's not type. Touch is type. Isn't this weird? You have to say type to view. It can't make sense. But anyway, here's a configuration file that is on the user's desktop. So By this time, as an attacker, I can go through this configuration file. You will be able to see the API key that I'm using for connecting to my Elastic SIEM. You'll be able to see if I had any passwords in here. I mean, a lot of bad things can happen right now. So that's just a demonstration of how when somebody gets remote control of a machine, they can really do a lot more havoc. I can start uploading more scripts here. I can maybe put Mimikatz on this machine, so I can try to maybe dump domain admin hashes from Mimikatz. I mean, if this user right here is part of a domain admins, I can use that to maybe gain more access on the domain controller and see file shares. A lot of bad things can happen. People can even drop ransomware using this way. So we did all these things. The big question for us and for you and I, the good guys, is, well, you have spent thousands of dollars on these SIEM solutions, these detection engines, and I mean, these SIEM solutions are expensive. Well, did it detect this? Because this looks like some nasty stuff that I was doing right here, being able to remote control a machine and doing that. We need to be able to detect that. Otherwise, really, the thousands of dollars that you spend on the SIEM solutions are useless. Well, there's a catch. The SIEM solution, in order for it to detect it, it needs people who understands how it works, who tunes it correctly. You need to fine tune it. You need to tell it, otherwise it doesn't know. Like, this was just detected in February. As a security engineer, if you're responsible for an infrastructure or a SIEM solution, you need to go there, play around with this, like what I'm doing right now. Figure out, okay, what is the behavior of this thing? Does it create any registries? Okay, if it creates registries, maybe set up an alert, or maybe set up a rule in your SIEM solution to detect if the logs say there was a registry that was written by that looks exactly like that, maybe trigger an alert. So you need to do work. These things don't just work out of the box, and that's what we're covering right now. So let's go back to our SIEM. As you can see, this just hangs here. Let's tell it to wait because we might have to redo it. So let's go back to our SIEM. This thing has detections, right? It's looking at detections from the last 15 minutes, and look at this one. We did get a detection. It says C2 connection alert. I created this. It says C2 connection alert with exclamation marks because that's me. And I put a tag on it that said bad or something like that. But before I show you how I created this rule, I just want to show you what this alert looks like, because we did detect it, and this will be very helpful. Then I'll show you why this will be even critical. You can tell this alert to email you, send you a text message, maybe send a message to Slack, whatever, call whoever is on call in the middle of the night. You can do that. But let's look at this alert very quickly. Well, first, let's look at C2 connection. I know the rule because I created it. It says command and control connection that was detected on my Windows clients. It was a critical. I said it is a critical. It's an endpoint. So this is not a network detection. This is just a endpoint. Source IP address. This is the IP address of the machine. Then the destination. So who initiated the connection? This is the endpoint going to 5.230 my Kali Linux. So already I'm beginning to think, okay, why would this happen? We can look further here. This is where the signature information can be very valuable for tracking the incident from right now until the end when we close it. Make sure that we have the right incident. We have the agent ID here. This is what it says, connection attempted. Whether it's an attempt or a successful connection, I want to know, because if somebody is just attempting and they're failing, I still want to know. So that's where I set up my rule. Event category is network, endpoint security. Let's scroll down here. We want to see where this connection was initiated from. So here's the IP address again and the host name of the machine. So now we have all the details that we need. Windows 10. And this information tells us, we are wondering, was this machine updated? We have it right here, the version of the Windows 10 that was run. IPv4, then here. The process that initiated this somehow is Chrome. Now we're thinking, wait a second, Chrome initiated a remote connection. This doesn't add up. Is this even real? Is this fake? Let's see if we can see the port in here as well. So we have a lot of information. I put a tag here as bad. You can put a tag that means something in your environment because that's part of your detection. Source IP address is here. Source port is also specified here. So that's the source port that my machine was trying to communicate from. Above here, we should be able to see port 444 is the destination port. So this is the attack that we performed, and this is where we detected. So how did I go about doing this? Like I said earlier, this thing is not going to just detect any attack. It needs engineers in the background to tell it what those signatures are. In most cases in the real world, you pay a lot of money for subscriptions to signature engines that companies will put out there. You can go and find signatures from open source platforms, depending on what platform you're using. Say, for example, for Zik, formerly known as Bro, you can go, there's a community version there. There's snort rules that you can get that are for free for network intrusion detection systems. Then you are also responsible for creating the rules that might not be out there yet, or you are responsible for making sure that those rules that are out there actually detect, especially with things that are like 0 days. If you want to be on top of things, maybe you can go and be proactive and create your own. So the Elastic engine here, which is free, gives us that opportunity. So let's manage our detection engine rules here. I'll show you the rule, then I'll show you how you can go about reversing the whole process that we just did here. So my rule that I have is C2. You're going to laugh because this rule is probably not the best rule, but it works for our discussion here. So here is the rule that I created. I just went and did a create rule. Let me edit my rule settings here. Then I will show you the different parts. So the first part is the rule is from a query. It's a custom query that I just have. And here is the query that I'm running in Kibana. Event action. If you see an event on my endpoints where I'm running my Elastic agent that says connection attempted, I want to know. However, connection attempted can mean anything. Google Chrome says connection attempted all the time when it's trying to communicate with websites. So I said, and the destination port is 444. Now, I want to know if anyone tries to connect to 444, I don't care. Let me know. The reason why I say this is such a simplistic rule is because, attackers are not going to use 444 all the time, right? So, but it works in this case because I know where it's coming from. So if you knew the behavior of the malware, say it created registries in a specific file or in a specific registry destination, you can come in here and say, if someone writes to these registries and maybe put a wildcard, if anybody touches this registry file, let me know. This rule will trigger, and then you can name it whatever. So that's why I think this ability is going to help us. So this is where I created the rule. So you might be wondering, well, how did I know that this syntax, this is Kibana querying language, KQL, or you can use Lucene. If you don't know that and you're just trying to play around with this, go to the Discover page here. Perform your attacks like I did. Then here you get all kinds of data, right? This is raw data as it comes in, from our endpoints. So we can say now, we want to understand what was going on. You can say destination IP. I want to know all the traffic that was going to Kali. And here it is. These are the raw logs of the connection that was happening. Here's a when somebody clicked on port 8080, that's when I clicked on that browser. So these logs, raw logs here, will tell you the story of what happened. Then from here, you can say, well, now I can create a rule based on this specific query because now you know. So let's create a query. Let's just go back. Let's find out what this is going to give us. Event.action here. in our query here. This should give us all the times that there was a connection attempted to destination port 444. So let's update right now. Let's put this to the last 24 hours and refresh that. All right, so I didn't try this many times. This is not filtering it right. All right, but here's some connection attempted times. Let's look at this. I don't think this is working right because I don't like what it looks like. I was expecting very distinct connections here. Okay, so let's remove that. Maybe that's what's causing. All right, destination port 444. Now, is this going to be it? Yeah, I see 444 here, 444 here, 444 here. So that's how you are able to query your data, work with it, manipulate it however you want. And the moment you figure out what's going on in here, you can now say, okay, I know every time this event gets triggered, I can generate an alert in my alerting engine using this right here. So before we finish, I just want to show you that's where we go. And then let's go and check out our host, because the hosts themselves, now that we know what it's doing, should also have some logs that are very specific to them, external alerts here. You can also just come and interact with your host right here and really take a look. Oh no, this is not an external alert. This was just an alert. I didn't set it up as an external alert. But you can see the events that were happening on that host in real time and where they came from. So the way to interpret this right here is to say, okay, what is the event? This is an endpoint event process. If it says process, that means the process was started or not. So this is coming from our Windows machine. And as you can see, it's very loud. You might want to fine tune this if you don't want too much data. But right now it's very loud. Anything that happens on that machine is logging. So you can take a look at it from here as well and be able to see it. All right, so that was my sort of quick rundown of what's happening there. For those who are wondering, okay, so how do we set this up? You can set this up in less than 20 minutes, especially the Kibana part. Go to Elasticsearch, Elastic Cloud, set up a cloud for 14 days. I think 14 days is plenty of time to just play around and goof around and send data and observe it. And the setup process is literally 5 minutes for me to sign up with an email address and get my 14 days trial version, and off I go. So that's why I prefer to use this compared to Security Onion. And I really want to know how Elastic works. So I prefer this better. And also the SIEM solution right now that they integrated makes it even better to use compared to just a Security Onion distro. Even though I'll be making videos on Security Onion, I learn more when I actually come in here and configure it myself than getting something that somebody configured, and then I can share with you guys. That's why I'm doing this. So once you set it up, once you sign up, all you need to do is enable. You get a bunch of notifications saying, hey, do you want to try the SIEM solution? Just say yes, you want to try the SIEM solution. Then once you do that, your ingest manager here, you can add your agents. So as you can see right here, I have a domain controller that I made a video about last time. So check out my video where I was attacking a domain controller with PSExec and all that stuff. And then I have my machine, and it shows you the status, whether they're online or not. And then you can see what type of data these agents are ingesting. So let's take a look at this data here. What kind of dashboard does it generate from Windows? Just the metrics. This is coming from my Windows machines. So you can monitor not only the security part, but the usage as well for your systems. So let's take a look. So you can kind of, I don't know how useful this might be to someone, but you can tell sort of what processes are running, Or if you have a lot of machines, you can just query here by saying host.hostname and set it up maybe to DC. Oh, that is lowercase. This one. Not end. So now I'm just looking at my Windows domain controller. All right, so that was the fun part, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. When I was performing this attack, I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. You get to play around and goof around. You don't get this chance at work, and in a lab like this, you actually get a chance to play around with things, and it's safe if you set it up correctly. So right now, I'm just taking any questions that people might have, any feedback. I think we still have some time here. Yeah, we have some time. What do you guys think? Let's see. What kind of... I'm just going to answer a few questions here. What kind of logs are injecting to detect? Just curious. Okay, so let's go back here. Let me show you what the Elastic Agent looks like. So the Elastic Agent that is collecting all that data that you were looking at, you find it in program files. You have to rename this to Elastic Agent. And this agent here is going to run bits. So back in the day, you used to deploy multiple applications to say metric bit for metrics, packet bit for packet data to your machines. The Elastic Agent is going to deploy those for you. So that's what it's going to do. So right now, let's look in the install folder. So right now I have metric bit and file bit. File bit is what's shipping my Windows logs to my Elastic SIEM. So file bit is doing most of this work here. Then I also have endpoint security. Metric bit is what's giving me those CPU usage and that data that you were looking at. And the logs that we are getting, Windows events. Right now I'm grabbing all of them. So you want to come in and actually tweak it down and tell it what levels you want to get. Maybe you don't want all of them. What code set did you start in? I'm not sure I understand what this question means, Louis. You mean what certification did I start with? I got CCNA. So networking is where I started. Yes, so I started with a CCNA and I got hooked to networking. So networking is my favorite subject when it comes to IT. So I enjoy network security. So this is the endpoint part of it. I don't have a lot of experience with endpoint, so that's why I'm spending time learning how to detect on the endpoint. I enjoy and actually work on mostly network detection. So think Suricata, Zeek, that type of stuff. So I got, let's put this back. So I got CCNA, routing and switching, CCNA security, CCNA cyber operations, CCNP routing and switching. I was working as a network admin then. Then after that, I got a CISSP, where I learned a lot of things, a lot of material in CISSP. I encourage everyone to take it. Thank you, Juan. Yeah, this is fun for me too. I mean, this is what I enjoy doing. I do this. I spend about 3 hours a week just playing around, and it's fun for me to share with you guys. Let me know if you have any questions for me after. So for those who joined late, we did an attack on Windows 10. We detected it in here with our Elastic Engine. So if we go to our security overview, we should be able to see that we triggered it in an alert. So that is called C2 connection alert. This is the one that we triggered, and this is the one that I triggered earlier when I was testing. And this I think I triggered a long time ago. Make a video on Wireshark. Yes, I intend to play with Wireshark. I'm looking for really good pickups from the internet. So if you know of a place like a nice pickup database that is juicy pickups, I'm looking for pickups that tell a story, like a connection, you know, like a storyline that is really fun to work on, so we can analyze. 2 weeks ago I was talking about pickup in a class that I was teaching somewhere, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. If any of my students are watching, remember those pickup exercises that we did. It's so much fun to spend some time interacting with pickup and finding and really knowing the sequence of events. So yeah. How hard is the CISSP? The CISSP is not hard. It's just a lot of material to cover, and it's a lot of things to remember. And also it's a different mentality. If you are someone like me and you're technical and you're always trying to fix things, you might fail that test, because it's meant for people who make decisions in corporate environments. So if you're not thinking like a decision maker and you're thinking like a technical person, you might fail, not because it's hard, but because it's just a different type of person that they're targeting with that test. All right, I'm seeing, I think I've answered everybody's question here. So thank you all for joining it. And if you enjoy this type of stuff, please like this video. This tells YouTube, the YouTube algorithm, to share this video with a lot more people. So like, subscribe to my channel. We have, what, almost 14,000 subscribers on this channel. It has grown more than I even thought. What's your aim, man, or hobby? What do you mean? You mean what's my aim for this? This is my hobby. I do this for fun. This is something that I do and I get excited about, if that's what you're asking. When are you taking the OSCP? The OSCP, I was supposed to take it in November this year. I might have to push it to next year, but yes, it's still on my radar. I've done more than 50 machines on Hack the Box, so I feel confident about taking the OSCP. I think I will be able to pass it, but I think I might have to push it to next year. This year I'm going to be taking the, believe it or not, Certified Ethical Hacker next month. It's something that I have to take for different reasons. So regardless of what you think of the CEH exam, I'm going to be taking it next month. So because of that, I might push my OSCP. The CEH, I'm going to take the 2 exams, the multiple choice one and also the practical one. I'm very curious to see what's covered in the Certified Ethical Hacker certification and why everybody really doesn't have good things to say about it. I'm going to be taking it, and I'm getting funding from somewhere. Let's see, what is your job? Oh, I work as a security engineer. So I work on the detection side. So what you're seeing me do, part of it, not really what it is, but I work as a security engineer. Let's see, what is this one? If I only install APM modules in ELK, what is my limitation? I mean, what can I do with this APM? This is really good for someone who is learning about attacks and what they do. If you're interested in knowing like what is the behavior of an attack, what is the behavior like, if you say you want to understand if somebody performs an attack and they alter registries, how does that look in logs? If you want to do some log analysis, you want to learn how to create some rules, you want to really dig deep into understanding events and what they look at, because if you keep looking at them, now creating rules for them and understanding what they look like is going to help. The limitations for this, it doesn't come pre-configured for you. Like you see this rule that fired today, I had to configure it. I mean, you do get some pre-configurations. I have to take that back. You do get some rules, but not everything is going to be detected. But it gives you a really nice playground to learn and really get comfortable working with logs and also detecting and attacking. There's probably a cap on the amount of data you can send during the trial version. I haven't hit it because I only send the logs that I need to look at. But if you're setting this, this is not ready for production. This is still in beta mode, but I'm assuming the folks at Elastic are still working on this, they're improving on this. So this is going to be a commercial solution out there. And I'm not advertising this. I don't care whether you use this on Security Onion or another tool. The goal really is for you to get comfortable and hone your skills and get better. So you don't have to do this. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, if you came in late, don't worry. I might actually just go and rewatch this. I went through everything very quickly, so the first 30 minutes should show you everything. I made sure to not put a lot of fluffer. I just did it and explained it, and so in under 30 minutes you should be able to see what we did. It's actually some fun stuff. Should I take the Pentex Plus before OSCP? I haven't taken the Pentex Plus, so I'm not sure, and I'm not sure of your skill level, but I've heard really good things about Pentex Plus. I don't have it, so I'm not sure if I'm the right person to recommend that, but if someone in the comments can answer him, that would be great. But it's a good search, and if you're just starting out, suggest doing that. The rule of thumb that I know is that at least be comfortable with one of the three areas, right? System administration, networking, or programming. Those are the three areas that people normally come from when they're entering the security field. So if you are really good at one of those, then you can, figure out. But if you don't have any of these backgrounds, spend some time really to understand. If you're interested in system administrations, really get a good grasp of one of those concepts, because when you start looking at logs, then it's good to know like how the network works and where they came from. When you're deploying detection engines, it's good to know the flow of things. So a little bit of maybe networking before you start monkeying with this might be a good place to start. Where should a beginner start? A beginner should start, like I was saying, by getting the fundamentals. I think that you need to learn networking. I'm biased because I come from a networking background. I told you that I have the Cisco certifications that I had. I spent some time as a network administrator. There's value when you can understand how the network flows. Then you can defend the network because you know how it works. You don't need to go too deep in BGP and all the routing protocols, but just a good understanding of how networking works, the OSI layers, is going to be a good place. So back in the day, people used to say start with the CCNA. They have a new CCNA right now. So CCNA type of knowledge for networking or system administration is going to really help. As you go further, especially if you are interested in the pen testing and all the other parts, Linux is going to be a must. Nowadays, knowing Linux is pretty much a given. And the best way to learn Linux is just set up a lab, start doing things. There's a list of things that you can do that someone put together on the internet. Set up a web server in Linux. Set up a file share, a sample share, do a bunch of system administration type of stuff. Go maybe for a Linux Plus certification or something if that motivates you and you have the money. So to answer you, you need to get the fundamentals first before you start doing any security work. I mean, you can start by analyzing what we are doing right now, but it will benefit you the most if you just spend a month learning networking. There's a lot of free tutorials on YouTube. There's some Udemy and a bunch of platforms where you can get $10 courses or get a CCNA and get the basics covered. Why don't you use Parrot instead of Kali? It's powerful. Yes, I like Parrot. I actually have been playing with Parrot. I just don't use it in my videos because I'm still finding my way around it. So, but yeah, I don't have any issues with Parrot. Parrot OS is fun. When an Elastic agent include winlog bit, it's a true threat hunting. I agree. Nowadays, we don't need winlog bit with Elastic agent. Well, yeah, I mean, let me take that back. Winlog bit is going to ship Windows events. Right now, we're shipping events with Elastic agent as well. So yes, it's really good for people who really want to dig deep and understand these things. The best way to learn anything, especially what we are doing right now, is to just jump in and pick a skill that you want to learn and do it. I wanted to spend more time understanding the Kibana querying language. The best way, I picked this thing that I'm sharing with you right now. I was like, well, I want to find out the behavior of what happens when somebody attacks Chrome and gains reverse shell. I was able to show you here what it looks like, what port and the actual raw events, especially this tab here, the Discover tab. So set up a lab, get going, start attacking, start learning things. That's the only way to do it. If you keep thinking about it and not doing it, it's not going to really help you much. What book do you recommend? On our Facebook group, we put 5 books that we recommend. I don't have my books in here, they're upstairs, but by far, I have a bunch of books on networking. They are mostly Cisco books. I still reference them because I have my notes from years ago when I was learning about networking and routing. As far as books, I'm not sure which type of books you are talking about, but when I was starting on pen testing, the book I read was by Georgia Weidman. What is that book called? It's a blue book. It's free actually right now, and she's working on a new one. That book, even though it's old, it's like the best. It got me started on Hack the Box. It got me started on VownHub. Right away, by just reading that book, I was able to say, wow, I can actually hack by just reading one book, because I was able to set up a lab. And that's where I learned how to set up a lab properly. Let me see, what is the name of the book? Every time someone asks, I always forget. She's working on a new book right now. Let me find out what book. It's called Penetration Testing. Let me show you the book. This is the book that got me the bug. A hands-on introduction. Right now it's a little outdated, I'll tell you. Some of the things that she talks about in there do not work anymore. This book, if you combine it with a course, a free course on Cybrary, you'll be really good if you're interested in pen testing. I think you will learn a ton from here. Is it necessary to use Kali image provided by OSCP resources? I think it is very necessary. They have their own custom is it the 32-bit machine? So yes, you need to spend some time using that one, because of the way that they design the labs. I heard that if you don't use their image, if you run into issues, you never know if it's your machine or if it's their labs. So yeah, I would spend some time with theirs, especially if you're going for the OSCP. Otherwise, if you're just goofing around like I'm doing, I like to be on the latest version of Kali, and every time I upgrade, I run into issues. I have to spend 20 minutes fixing it. So if you're into that, you can get a new version of Kali. Can you share Linux learning? I'm learning Linux now. How did I learn Linux? I think that's the best way I can answer you. The way I learned Linux is I was at work, and somehow, as a system administrator, I had Linux boxes. So I just had to learn how to start the box and monitor the services. And after a while, I started reading online. There was a free website. Man, my memory is bad today. There's a free Linux website where I spent some time just going through the commands. So just go on Google and find out there was a free website. Then there is a course that I took on Pluralsight. Go on Pluralsight and find an introduction to Linux. I should have affiliate links on that Pluralsight. I'll sign up for affiliate links so I can put them in my videos. Yeah, Pluralsight, I spent so much time there. I had a subscription. Best place to learn if you want. It's actually really good. Udemy is kind of hit and miss. There's $10 courses there, some that are terrible, some that are good, but Pluralsight, they do vet their content. So it's most likely high quality content and it's very cheap. So for learning Linux, go to Pluralsight, find an introduction to Linux, set up the lab. What is his name? Is it Vankt? There's an instructor who is very, very popular. You'll see his course is the #1 rated on Pluralsight. Take the whole course. When you start taking the course, just dedicate your time, an hour a day, and take the whole thing, even if it hurts. For me, it hurts when I'm trying to understand things and I don't understand them. It's frustrating. What I've learned is just power through it and go over it again and again if you have to. And lab about it. Create a lab. It really helps. So yeah, go to Pluralsight for that, for learning Linux. It's very cheap. No, I don't. But I think they are amongst us right now. One of these people who is in this chat is probably one of them. How are we doing here? Okay, we're good. What type of lab can I set up with Security Onion? You can set up a very fun lab with Security Onion. So the way I would set up a Security Onion lab, the one that I had about 3 years ago, I set up the nodes where you have a switch. Find a cheap layer 3 switch, span, copy the traffic from one port to another, send it to Security Onion for analysis, and then watch what happens. You'll be able to learn a lot. Set it up on your home. Actually, just span the traffic that is coming in and out of your house and take a look at it and see what's happening. Who are the big talkers in your network? What kind of things can you detect in your house? When you set up a detection lab in your own house, you really get to see normal behavior, like the TVs talking, the Rokus, the garage door openers, whatever that you have. You get to see how noisy those things are, and then you freak out, create VLANs, and separate them from everything else. I think that's the best way to learn. Can you for you, a pen test is to have a user such password to audit a security infra? I'm not sure if I understand what you mean. A pen test is to have a user such. I'm not sure what your question is. You mean if is for me to have a username and password? I don't think so. I think if you read about pen test, there are different types of pen tests. There's white box, black box pen testing. Sometimes they give you domain credentials and say go edit. Sometimes they tell you nothing. Sometimes they give you the scope, the range, the engagement document will tell you what you can and can't do and which systems you can touch and whether or not you get credentials or not. Sometimes they just say, hey, pen test from external or internal. So there's all kinds of variations for a pen test, and that depends really on what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I'm not sure if you necessarily have a username and password to audit any security, depending on which one. I think I missed one here. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining. And if you joined late, we performed our attack and we were able to see things here. Our main goal really is to gain a deeper understanding of how these things work, in particular how security monitoring works. My goal is to learn these things with you. So I spend some time poking around during the week. Then on a Sunday, I just come in here and live stream with you guys. I find that it's easier that way than spending an hour editing a video. So if you're interested, just watch the first 30 minutes. I think you'll be able to see what we did. And right now I'm just answering any questions that you guys might have for me. I am open to answering them. Do I use Tor? I hope you're not asking if I go on the darknet. Yes, I use Tor. I use Tor when I'm doing research. So as you can see, I'm a little bit all over the place. My main focus is really network security monitoring. That's where I spend most of my time in every day-to-day doing stuff. So network security monitoring. But at the same time, I refuse to just sit as a defender. I want to know what I'm up against. So that's why I spend most of my time also hacking. And part of that also involves reading material, sometimes following some forums in some parts of the internet that you might not be familiar with or you may not have been. But yeah, I do once in a while hop on Tor to see if somebody references a darknet site. I'm definitely going to figure it out. I think you missed the first one. Do I have my OSCP? No, I don't. I will be going for the OSCP soon though. I feel very ready right now. I've done more than 50 hack the box machines, made 32 videos about resolving hack the box machines, and I've done more than 30 Vaun Hub machines. And I've read the books that are out there for pen testing. So I think the OSCP is going to be fun for me. But I have another cert that's coming next month, so I'll wait for that. Thanks, Juan. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the feedback. So yes, guys, thank you very much for joining our live stream here. Please like, subscribe to this channel. Tell the YouTube algorithm that this content is worth watching. Maybe it will suggest it to more people. I'll wait for another 3 minutes here to see if people have any last minute questions before we go. If you need any help, let me know in the comments. Everyone's situation is going to be different, so once in a while I'll spend some time with someone and we can set up your lab depending on what you have. I'm getting an error and Tipo says disk modifying. Is there a way to recover the logs? I haven't interacted with Teapot in a long time actually. Maybe a month or so. Teapot is a honeypot that I was playing with on Azure. I haven't interacted with it. I'm not sure what that error is, but if you go to the GitHub page, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see a solution for you. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. And also, I appreciate your support being a member for this channel. People who join and become members for this channel help me, support me, and make sure that I get these lights and this camera that I'm actually now using, so it's clear And right now I think I need a new microphone. The audio is not good. So if you support this channel by becoming a member, that helps me. That's all. Thanks BT for being a member and joining, and others as well. All right, thank you everybody for joining. I will be here next week, same time. Play with this lab if you haven't. Let me know in the comments or reach out to me in the email in the contact us page if you need any special arrangement with me. Otherwise, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining me tonight. Have a good night.